The epistemic closure paradox raises a fundamental question. How can we trust our knowledge if it is always derived from within a system that we cannot step outside of to verify? Imagine you were born in a massive library with no windows or doors, and every book in it described the outside world. But those books were written by people who have never actually seen it. How could you be sure their descriptions are accurate? This paradox appears in many fields of knowledge. In science, we rely on instruments like telescopes to observe distant galaxies. But what if those telescopes introduce distortions we can't detect? Even fundamental theories like quantum mechanics and relativity describe reality in ways that work within their own frameworks, yet they contradict each other at extreme scales, suggesting that a deeper, more complete theory may exist, but we are trapped within our current understanding. In artificial intelligence, AI models learn from vast data sets. But if those data sets are biased or incomplete, the AI will reach conclusions that make perfect sense within its limited world, yet might be entirely incorrect when viewed from a broader perspective. Just like a child who learns about history only from one book. Even in mathematics, Gödel's incompleteness theorems prove that any formal system will always contain truths that cannot be proven within the system itself, meaning we will always have questions we cannot answer using the rules we have. This paradox also affects philosophy and human belief systems. If we only acquire knowledge through language, perception, and logic, but these are all human-made constructs, how can we ever be sure that what we know aligns with an objective reality? It's like a video game character trying to understand the real world while being limited to the rules of their own simulation. Can we ever escape these self-imposed limits, or are we forever confined to an expanding but self-contained reality? Like a fish trying to describe the ocean while never leaving its own pond. Epistemic closure is a principle in epistemology that states that if a person knows a proposition to be true, and also knows that this proposition logically implies another, then they must also know the second proposition. This principle ensures logical consistency within our knowledge framework. Yet it leads to paradoxical situations where seemingly justified beliefs may remain uncertain due to limitations in our reasoning. The paradox emerges when knowledge claims rely on assumptions that themselves require justification, leading to an infinite regress or self-referential loop. If I know that all mammals are warm-blooded and that dolphins are mammals, I should logically conclude that dolphins are warm-blooded. But if my knowledge of taxonomy is flawed, this chain of reasoning could break down. Epistemic closure functions like a chain of logic gates in a computer circuit. If one gate fails, the entire process of knowledge transmission can be disrupted. The paradox arises because any system of knowledge is ultimately constrained by self-referential limits, meaning that to verify knowledge we must rely on other knowledge within the same system. Gödel's incompleteness theorems illustrate that within any sufficiently complex logical system, there will always be true statements that cannot be proven within the system itself. This limitation suggests that complete knowledge within a closed system is unattainable, questioning the foundational assumption of epistemic closure. Mathematical truths like the consistency of piano arithmetic cannot be proven solely within the system of arithmetic itself, illustrating self-referential limitations in knowledge systems. Trying to verify all knowledge within a system is like a snake trying to swallow its own tail. It can never fully complete the loop. In order to know something with certainty, one must justify it with another piece of knowledge, which itself requires justification, leading to an infinite regress. Foundationalist theories attempt to solve this by assuming basic, self-evident truths, while coherentist theories argue that beliefs are justified holistically within a network of interdependent knowledge. The paradox lies in the fact that neither approach can completely eliminate uncertainty, as any foundation must itself be questioned, and circular justification risks self-referential inconsistency. The statement, "I know the external world exists because I perceive it," is problematic if perception itself depends on the assumption of an external world. Justifying knowledge is like building a house of cards. Each card, belief, depends on another for support, but removing a single one can collapse the structure. Empirical science relies on observation and experimentation, but all observations are filtered through human perception and existing theoretical frameworks. This means that our understanding of reality is always mediated by assumptions and measurement limitations. Even in physics, Heisenberg's uncertainty principle highlights that certain properties of particles cannot be simultaneously known with precision, reinforcing the idea that complete knowledge within a system is constrained. In quantum mechanics, attempts to measure a particle's position precisely inevitably disturb its momentum, imposing fundamental limits on what can be known. Empirical verification is like trying to measure water with a leaky container. No matter how refined the process, some uncertainty will always remain. AI systems designed to process and generate knowledge face epistemic closure challenges, as their learning models are confined to predefined datasets and algorithms. If an AI system is trained within a certain knowledge framework, it cannot verify knowledge beyond what it has been exposed to, unless given new axioms externally. This raises questions about whether AI can truly know something or if it merely simulates knowledge through probabilistic reasoning. A deep learning model trained only on past human data may struggle with novel situations, as it lacks the ability to verify truths beyond its training parameters. AI knowledge is like a map. It can represent reality to a certain extent, but will always be limited by the features that were initially included. Radical skepticism challenges the idea that knowledge can be closed under logical inference, arguing that we might not know anything with absolute certainty. Cartesian skepticism, for instance, questions whether we can trust our senses at all, leading to the brain in a vat thought experiment. If epistemic closure were universally valid, then one would need to know that they are not deceived by an external illusion, but this is impossible to verify without assuming the reliability of perception. The philosophical idea that the world might be a simulation, the matrix hypothesis, demonstrates how knowledge is constrained by unverifiable assumptions. Skepticism is like a funhouse mirror, distorting our perceptions of reality and making it impossible to determine what is truly accurate. Bayesian epistemology suggests that knowledge should not be treated as binary, true or false, but rather as probabilistic, where beliefs are updated based on new evidence. This perspective challenges epistemic closure by acknowledging that even seemingly logical inferences may only be probabilistically valid. In Bayesian reasoning, knowledge is always provisional and subject to change as new data emerges, making absolute epistemic closure unrealistic. In medical diagnostics, Bayesian models adjust the probability of a disease diagnosis based on additional test results, never assuming absolute certainty. Bayesian reasoning is like a weather forecast. New data refines predictions, but never eliminates uncertainty completely. Human cognition is shaped by biases that influence how we perceive and process knowledge, leading to systematic errors in reasoning. Confirmation bias, for example, reinforces beliefs by selectively interpreting evidence that supports prior assumptions, preventing a truly closed epistemic system. This means that even within a logically sound framework, human perception can distort knowledge acquisition, leading to inconsistencies. People who strongly believe in conspiracy theories often dismiss contradictory evidence, maintaining an illusion of epistemic closure despite inconsistencies. Cognitive bias is like a tinted lens, filtering reality in ways that reinforce pre-existing beliefs rather than allowing objective analysis. Resolving the epistemic closure paradox requires interdisciplinary approaches, integrating logic, neuroscience, AI, and philosophy. Researchers explore alternative models of knowledge that incorporate non-classical logic, fuzzy systems, and quantum information theories. These perspectives may offer new ways to conceptualize knowledge that allow for self-referential consistency while embracing the inherent limitations of any epistemic system. Some quantum logic models suggest that knowledge states are inherently contextual, meaning that certain knowledge claims can be true in one framework but indeterminate in another. The future of epistemology is like an evolving language. New structures and concepts refine our understanding, but complete closure may remain an unattainable ideal.